beginning of December 1943, total stock of Stugs in all theatres amounted to 1,880 machines, some 400 more than available at the beginning of July and immediately prior to Operation Citadel. The reality was that by this period of the war, the Stug 3 was the most numerous of all types of armoured vehicle serving in the German army.
Welcome back, folks, for another quick leak video. Now, with the 9.4 patch, the Germans will receive a premium Tier 5 tank destroyer, the Stug 4. So the Sturmgeschütz 4 is basically a modified version of the Panzer 4 to perform the same roles as a tank destroyer / assault gun, like how they modified the Panzer 3 into the Stug 3. So basically, both of these tanks were the most widely produced tank destroyers as well as fighting vehicles during World War II for the Germans, obviously. But the main difference between the Stug 3 and the Stug 4 is that the Stug 4 carries more ammo, has side skirts on the sides, and has better sloped frontal armor, but the armor is still the same thickness as the Stug 3. So the difference is minimal, but both tanks were used to counter T-34s and Sherman tanks during World War II. So here are the Ingame models for the Stug 4. As you can see, this tank has side skirts, which is basically space armor on the sides against small arms fire and small caliber shells, such as 37mm rounds and stuff like that. So it is like the Panzer 4H with the side skirts on that tank. Same thickness, so it's basically the same as a Panzer 4H. It just doesn't have a turret on top, obviously. So the main difference between the Stug 4 and the Stug 3 is that this little driver box hatch thing, whatever this is, that's protruding out of the hull of the tank. So that's new. So they probably increased the driver compartment of this tank destroyer for the driver, so for his benefit. Another difference is that this tank has better sloped frontal armor than the Stug 3. Now, given the fact that this frontal plate is the same thickness but sloped backwards a bit more than the Stug 3, it has more effective armor at the front, obviously. So yeah, but if you look at the comparison between the Stug 3, I don't know why it's white, but alright. So as you can see, the frontal plate on the Stug 3 is not that well sloped. Oh my god, why is it so white? Jesus. Oh, the texture is not loading up. So the frontal plate on the Stug 3 is only 71, oh no. It's only 40-50ish degrees of sloping. Whereas if you see on the Stug 4, it's way more well sloped. So that thing is more like freaking Jesus. That's like 30 degrees of sloping. That's really well sloped in comparison to like the 40-45ish degrees of the Stug 3. So it has better frontal effective armor than the Stug 3. And here are the main stats for the Stug 4. As you can see, this is a premium Tier 5 tank destroyer, so it's going to cost you about 2,000 gold or so. So that's gonna be pricey than normal Tier 5 medium tank or heavy tank. It has 360 health, which is okay. It weighs about 26 tons, so it's not that heavy, but not that light. Engine power, however, it's kind of crap, 300 horsepower. So the power to weight ratio is kind of bad, 11.6 horsepower per ton. So this is kind of bad. It's almost heavy tank like power to weight ratio. Maximum speed is 38 kilometers per hour forwards and 10 kilometers per hour backwards, which is alright. Terrain resistance is pretty decent, 0.86 for hard terrains, 1.05 for medium, and 1.8 for soft terrain. So that's pretty decent. It's better than the Stug 3G, I know that for sure. Hull traverse is the same as the Stug 3G, 40 degrees per second. View range is the same, 310 meters. Radio range is actually better than the Stug 3G with 650 meters. So, alright. So, mobility wise, it has less mobility than the Stug 3G because of weaker engine power. Oh god, this really does suck. Armor, it is the same armor as the Stug 3G because it's this Panzer 3 and the Panzer 4 are pretty much the same, mostly. I know the Panzer 3 had 30mm of frontal armor, but they upgraded it for the Stug 3G, obviously. But the front of these two tanks are pretty much the same. 88mm at the front, 30mm at the side, and probably 30 at the rear. 50, 30, it's 30-ish at the rear. So, alright. But yeah, it's not that much armor. It does have 5mm side skirts, the little side panel thing on here, like the Panzer IV-H, obviously. The gun is a 75mm L48 likely, so it is the second gun, other than the third gun, you can get on the Stug. So it's the L48 version of the 75mm. So it's like that gun. So yeah, it's pretty much the same gun, since the Stug 3 and the Stug 4 were both used extensively throughout World War II for the Germans, and they both were tank destroyers, so they were mass produced, so they use probably the same guns. Penetration is pretty much the same, 106mm. Damage is 110 HP per hit. DPM is kind of bad, 1720. Ugh, that's kind of bad. Reload every about 4 seconds or so. Rate of fire is about 16 rounds per minute, so it's like the same gun on the Stug 3. Yeah, accuracy is decent, 0.34. Aim time is very good, 1.5 seconds. Gun suppression is not as good as the Stug 3 G, so I think the Stug 3G has like -7 or -8 gun suppression. Let's see. Gun suppression is 10. Holy shit! It has American gun suppression. Oh man, yeah, that's bad. Gun traverse angle is probably the same, 20 degrees. So let's see if this is 20 degrees. Yeah, it's about 20 degrees or so. Yeah, it's about the same gun arc. Alright, and historical loadout is 63 rounds. So, comparison between the Stug 3-4 and the Stug... Oh, that's just Stug 3-4. Stug 3 and the Stug 4 is that they're pretty much using the same guns, the same second gun on the tanks. Now, the Stug 3 never had the L70 gun in historical accuracy. This gun never existed, so this gun wasn't even developed, so to speak. So they never had the long 75mm. They were only using the short 75mm during World War II. So it looks like this. So this is pretty much the same tank. Now you just have better frontal slope, frontal armor. So because this has about 45 degrees sloping, whereas the Stug 4 has superior sloping at the front. So that's the only difference. I mean, the lower glacis is still a big target, and it's easily to go through the lower glacis. Now, the side panels, the side skirts, does troll artillery shots because it's space armor, and if low tier, like tier 3, tier 4 artillery hits this side panel, it will most likely not do damage. It will penetrate, but it will not do any damage because the heat round, or not heat round, the HE round will hit the side panel, explode on the side panels, and dealing almost to no damage to the tank. So that's what happened when I was driving the Panzer IV-H with the side panel blocking off artillery shells. That's because the side panel just eats it up. But other than that, the main difference between the Stug 3 and the Stug 4 is that the Stug 3 has better engine and better mobility in trading for somewhat weaker armor, but the armor is pretty much the same in my opinion. You just have side skirts at the sides, and you have a better slope upper plate, but the lower plate is still huge on both tanks, so you can just easily go through the lower plate, and the lower plate is 80mm. So the only thing that has trouble penetrating your lower plate is probably like tier 3 or tier 4 light tanks or medium tanks, but the heavy tanks at tier 4 also have trouble hitting your lower, penetrating your lower glacis because they have about 70mm penetration. So the heavy tanks such as the Douchewagon number 2 or the B1 heavy tank from the French, both tanks will have trouble unless they're using premium rounds to go through your lower plate. But the most weakness on the Stug 3 as well as the Stug 4 is likely the superstructure of the tank. So basically just shoot anywhere near the superstructure. What the? It's not automatic bounce, is it? Wow, it's automatic bounce. I thought it was just going right through. Yeah, if you point a little bit upwards, it go right through. So the superstructure is pretty weak. So you can just easily go through the superstructure if your tank is a bit taller than the Stug, which most tanks are. So you can just easily penetrate the little superstructure thing. Otherwise, they'll have trouble going through the front of your 80mm of frontal plates. But, so unless the Stug 4 gets premium matchmaking, which I think it should, this tank will not perform as well in tier 7 game because of the gun. DPM wise, it's not that good. So in my honest opinion, the Stug 4 is not really worth it unless you like collecting tanks, because it is basically a stock Stug 3G. Now when you first unlock the Stug 3G, you have the same guns, the 75mm L48 already unlocked from the Hetzer or the Stug 3B, so you already have the top gun on both tanks. Engine's pretty much the same. It has better horsepower engine on the stock engine than the Stug 4's engine, so you do get more shells for the Stug 4. 63 rounds in comparison to 44 rounds, but alright, that's minimal. The tank has better accuracy on the Stug 4 and aim time, but it has worse gun depression. It has better terrain resistance, but worse engine power, so it is like the Stug 3 stock when you're playing the Stug 4. Now, it should have premium matchmaking because of the gun. The gun's not that penetrating at tier 5 for a tank destroyer, and it doesn't do that much damage, and the DPM's kind of crap. So yeah, it really does need premium matchmaking. But when you think about this tank will get into tier 6 game, and it's not going to perform well in a tier 6 game against the things like the Churchill 6 or I don't know, the AT6. Yeah, it's not going to penetrate those things, never. So even if you hit square on to the cupola of the AT6, this thing might have a hard time penetrating that thing. This thing might have a hard time penetrating the ass of an AT6. So, God, yeah, this tank, yeah, unless you're using gold shells, you're not penetrating an AT6. So, yeah, unless you're collecting tanks, this tank is not really worth it, because the armor could only troll tanks at tier 4 or below. But the armor is still not that good in my opinion. You can still easily go through the lower plate of this tank. Now upper plate might be bouncy, but you can still penetrate the superstructure of this tank easily, or even the little driver box hatch thing, whatever you call it, when they're adding on to the Stug 4. But not really worth it. In my honest opinion, if you want to get a tier 5 premium tank destroyer, get the Su-85i, because I have this tank and it has very good DPM, very good DPM. Penetration is also decent, almost 120 millimeters, so penetration is still decent. It does get premium matchmaking, so you can only see up to tier 6. Damage per shot is also very good, so the Stug 4 is not really worth as a tier 5 tank destroyer where you could get the Su-85i. Now, the funny thing is that the Su-85i is a captured Panzer III by the Russians, and they took off the turret, gave it a superstructure, and mounted an 85mm cannon on top and called it their own tank destroyer. So, the irony. But yeah, if you want to get a tank destroyer at tier 5 as a premium tank, I recommend the Su-85i because it has very good DPM for a tank destroyer at tier 5. It has 2200 DPM for a tank destroyer. Now, that does not include a gun rammer or vents. You can actually put vents on this thing, but I just put camo nets. But with a gun rammer, this tank has almost 2500 DPM. So get the Su-85i instead of getting the Stug 4 in my honest opinion. But if you like collecting tanks, I do like collecting tanks, and if they're gonna give you a month-long mission for it, might as well get it. But it will not troll any tanks at tier 5 or above with its armor, and the gun's not that penetrating, so the DPM is also not that good, and it's slow with the crappy 300 horsepower engine. So yeah, it's not really worth it. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you guys for watching. Now, if you like the leaked video series on my channel, please subscribe to my channel for more of these leaked videos, obviously. But I also do tech reviews as well as other videos for World of Tanks, but mostly gameplay tips and other stuff. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Rate, comment, subscribe. That will help me a lot. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.